Looking all white filth vinyl up in here. Good evening, friends. Metal experts. If you are a false, subscribe. Go ahead. We'll get y'all cleaned up. How you doing, guys? Is this too spooky? Is this too, let me tell you a story? I think we'll be alright. Thank you for tuning in. It's been a minute. This might be the last video shot in this setting. As you can see, it's March 27th. I still haven't packed a single fucking CD. Next week is moving week. All hell's breaking loose. So I thought I would shoot a collection update, get it out of the way. I'm a little rusty, probably already aware, and I don't want to lose my touch. Next few weeks are going to be tumultuous. So, I want to try and keep the volume to a tolerable level, but this album. Heads who know, this is good. This was a good pick. Good job, me. Good job. Band is called Caravaggio or Freiheit, and I think this is their maybe debut. They might have had like an EP or a demo before this, but a couple of years ago, maybe 8 years ago, this came out, 2014, something like that. Great stuff. Kind of just sounds like a hyper speedy dissection-y kind of thing or something. From Germany. Since Der Begeiter Freiheit is hard to hear what I'm saying because it's in German and I don't speak German. I'll put a link down below for you to check it out. So get on it fast. So bunch of CDs, bunch of vinyl. Got a lot of stuff to go through actually. So my like below $10 rule kind of hasn't really worked out quite as well as I would have had it. But hey, I got a raise at work. I got my first shot, my vaccine shot. I hope you're considering getting vaccinated. It helps everybody out. My second shot is next week, and then I'm just back to making out with everybody. So yeah, Caravaggio on Friday. Oh, and we got a wild cat over here. Might make an appearance.
You got a mouse?
Can't wait to take the cats out to the new house. So, I've got a ton of stuff in. Let's just get cranking. No order, no nothing. Picked up the new one from Stargazer, of course. Had to do that. This one is called Psychic Secretions. And, you know, I was kind of maybe planning on getting it, but I saw Radical Research say that this was like the best thing that had come out in the last few years, and I just thought, what am I waiting for? Let's pull the trigger. Nuclear War Now had this for like 10 bucks, I think. They put it out, and yeah, it's great. I haven't really had enough time to spend getting fully immersed in it, but no surprises, really. It's great, like you would expect a Stargazer album to be. I feel like that's a band that deserves to have a big label support and tons of attention coming their way, so good on you. Also picked this up from Nuclear War Now. I've kicked tires on this for a really long time. They're one of my favorite bands, like absolute top 10 maybe metal bands of all time. And over the winter I found myself listening to them quite a bit. They're a band like I'm not always in the mood to listen to, but sometimes I just go on benders where I'm listening to Beyond Dawn for weeks on end. It can be any album. Their discography is fascinating. They evolved so much from day one to where they wound up when they broke up 10, 15 years ago or so, something around there. But so this is it's kind of like a weird hodgepodge collection of unreleased material, an Up Through the Linear Shades EP from like 94 or something like that. I've always had the longing for Scarlet Days EP, which is included on this. So, you know, there's only really like 5 tracks on here that I didn't have on any other releases. I wish they would just do like a proper demo compilation release that has all their demos on them. And they also did a 7-inch that's on here. So, yeah, I've always just kind of thought it's barely worth me getting. Also, like, the artwork on it is terribly forgettable. But, man, I fucking love Beyond Dawn so much. The unreleased stuff is actually pretty fascinating. I was glad I picked it up finally. And going back to their demo material, also really interesting. When I first got into Beyond Dawn 20 years ago or so, I thought, yeah, these guys are really weird, and they used to be just kind of a normal black metal band. But going back to their demos with a more mature ear that I have now, obviously, they were always weird, and they were always one of those bands kind of like Fluidity and Ulver who were just being as outside of the box as they could stand to be at every single turn. But if that sounds interesting to you at all, by all means, Beyond Dawn. You can't go wrong with any release of theirs. But it's challenging, it's different, it's very avant-garde. Some of their stuff is not metal at all. Some of their stuff is all acoustic. They run the gamut. That's just how it is. I think in my Bandcamp video I was super stoked about this band, Moldy Valhall, out of Norway. And I hadn't been aware yet that this was, like, the day I shot that video, I found out that this was coming out on CD, and I ordered it from Wolfspell Records. This is some absolutely crucial stuff. It's like this is one of the coolest band picture album covers to come out in the last few years, but the coloration on here is just, you can't really make out what's going on. This is even a pretty nice band photo, if I do say. So, this came all the way from Poland. It rips. If you're at all a fan of like Fortaleza, can't go wrong with this. I dare say I might like this a little bit more than Themes pour la Rebellion. Came out a couple of years ago. I find Fortaleza to be pretty good, but it's just the same thing all the time. And I get a little bit more out of something like that with a lot of more diversity. And just, yeah, diversity going on in the album. Because you do the same thing the whole time, it loses its effectiveness and it loses my interest, particularly, fairly quickly. Let's just be honest here. How about a vinyl? Got this bad boy in finally. Conjureth with Foul Formations and the Limitation Manifest. Limitation. Fucking get out of here. Both EPs that came out in 2020 released on both sides of this 12-inch by fucking Kill Records, which is a German label? I'm pulling that out of my ass. I know the European, but I don't know where. So you're getting a 2-sided insert here. By the way, I think it's just sold out. A couple other releases from fucking Kill Records. And this is on like a creamy pink calamine lotion kind of Pepto-Bismol color. A little bit of splatter going on there, but we've talked about Conjureth quite a bit on the channel, did a giveaway. It's so cool though to hear a good buddy of mine who I've known for over 20 years finally get to the point where labels are banging at his door for the riffs and songs that he writes so that they can release it on vinyl. Full length forthcoming this year. It's 2021, guys. It's almost fucking 4 months in yet. Memento Mori will be putting out their debut full length, and I can't wait to hear it. I think they're going in the studio pretty soon. Might be out this year, really, really late. Not sure how. Shit's stuck in the Suez Canal. Everything's fucking jammed up. Who knows when anything will be happening this year, but yeah, Conjureth, good shit. I heard a little bit of some of their new material, and it reminded me a lot of Prosanctus and Barry. Wound up listening to that Sempiternal Jaws in Noctambulant Night today. I think fucking rips. Okay, another thing I picked up that was just on the cheap, and I've kind of always meant to get this. Seth. L'Excellence. What do you guys think? See, I use my light ring here. I've seen other like YouTubers or influencers or whatever, they use those big lights. What do you guys think? Are those worth getting? Kind of been thinking about it. I don't know. We'll see how the new setup goes at the new place. Anyways, Seth put out an amazing debut album back in '98. It was one of the first things Season of Mist ever put out, but then they hopped on to Osmos for L'Excellence, The Excellence. And I don't know, it's nowhere near as good as the debut by any means. It's some leather pantsy kind of flashy sort of its time period black metal. I don't dislike it really. It's nowhere near as cool as that debut album. They did a live version of that debut album that came out 2 years ago, I think. And I was kind of interested in getting that. I was thinking about getting that, or I was like, do I want to get a live version of the only album that I love by this band, or should I just maybe like go further into their discography? So I wound up doing this instead, and I don't know. They have a new record coming out though. I checked out one of the tracks from it. It sounds really killer. So I might wind up picking that up. This was on a lot of year-end lists last year, and I just thought, yeah, okay, it's cheap. I'll grab it. I've always meant to get around to picking up a Perdition Temple album. And like finally there's one where everybody's like, this fucking slays, this murders all their other stuff. Sacraments of Dissension is what this one is called. If you don't know, Angel Corpse was one of my favorite bands. Top 5. I don't really listen to them as often as I used to when I was younger, but I have the utmost respect for the Inexorable, Exterminate. Those two records are just perfect. And an album like this, there's nothing bad I can say about this thing whatsoever. It's fine. These guys are insanely talented at writing something that is like the only thing they can write. Okay? And when I'm listening to something like this, more and more as I get older, I'll put on an album like this and I just go, huh, cool. But the more I listen to this, I just think, I could be spending this time listening to Altars of Madness. You know how long it's been since I actually listened to Altars of Madness? Or whatever, Covenant, Blessed Are the Sick, you name it. The classics. And I'm getting more and more kind of like less interested in occupying my time by checking out the new thing by whoever, as I am interested in falling back in love with classics in my collection that I haven't listened to for a really long time. And that's something that I think just being part of the YouTube community has imparted upon me, is that I've been very focused in the last few years in keeping up with newer releases, that I miss spending a lot of times with my favorite albums. So that's something I think I need to get more into as I'm spending less time down in the dungeon at our new place. I've got a ton of work to do. Matter of fact, if you're curious, I've spent the last 8 weekends with my partner who's sleeping upstairs working on the new house, and it is coming along great, but there's still a shit ton more work to do, and we haven't even moved in yet. So, just to give you an idea. This is fine. It's impressive. I'm sure there's so many entry points into this genre for people that are so much later than my entry point was. And when you consider that, there's nothing wrong with this being a favorite album of someone who was born a lot later than I was, for instance. But yeah, that's just kind of the way I came away with that. I was like, it's fine, it's great, but honestly, I might as well be just listening to Morbid Angel. Why not? Moving forward, a VCLT. We got a couple VCLTs in here, but this is the first VCLT from a buddy of mine I've been talking to for a couple of years now. Ed, you're great. Midwestern Abyss. He does YouTube videos just like this. Killer dude, really funny sense of humor. I hope I get to meet you one day, man. But he sent me this out of the blue, and it's funny. He just told me he was going to send me something out of nowhere, and I didn't know what it was. And so this is an album I had been thinking about getting and like come this close to ordering many times. And in fact, even a couple of days before he sent me this in my mailbox, I was sitting on the toilet going, yeah, let's buy it. And I don't know what happened. So this arrived, Ed sent me this, and I thought, oh, I must have gone ahead and ordered that the other day. I didn't connect the idea that Ed said, I'm going to send you something, and that this was it. So it was like a weird shock for him. It's weird when someone sends you something that's going to be a surprise, but it's something that you didn't know anyone knew you were thinking about getting. Anyways, that has nothing to do with this album. Thank you, Ed. I really appreciate it. This is nuts. Reverorum Ibmalat. So I first heard about this on a podcast by Jason Walton called I Hate Music, and it's this thing where he'll have a guest on and they'll play each other surprise songs and just kind of get like a hot take reaction. And so Jory from Inefference put this on the podcast. There's really not a whole lot to look at. I wish it was. He put this on and it just floored me. So I've been looking for a copy of this kind of for a while now. And dude, this thing is just nightmarish insanity. It's very noisy, haunting, evocative, experimental black metal. There's a lot in common with what's that guy's name? He does De Magia Veterum, Gnaw Tongues. The guy that does Gnaw Tongues, I don't really like Gnaw Tongues at all, but I think I could probably confidently say that there's a lot in common with Reverorum Ibmalat. Again, I know you don't know the words that are coming out of my mouth. I think it's Italian or something. But link down below for this guy. Check this out. It is bizarre, and it's one of those things like, I know people say chilling, haunting, black metal, or whatever, but that thing is truly hair on the back of your neck stand up, kind of just eerie, haunting, and just absolutely grim as all fuck. How about another vinyl? Speaking of grim, my buddy Dave, my favorite subscriber, sent me a copy of this Pest album. What's it called again? Buried. Something was wrong with this copy of it, and he had Nuclear War Now sent him a replacement copy. I think there's like some notches in the side of it or something. Plays fine. But this is a killer reissue of an album that came out in 2014. And this is Germany's Pest. Make no mistake about it. I was unfamiliar with this band. It's just one of those things. There were always two Pests. One from like Finland was it, or Sweden and Germany. There was a one from Finland too. Damn, that's a great band film. I don't think I've even seen that yet. I gave this a cursory listen. I've been super busy this week. Really fun, nasty stuff. Reminds me quite a bit of the first Ruins of Beverast. which is an album I've been really dying to put on and listen to again since that latest one was so good. Oh, this song rips. I hope this isn't too loud, and I hope somebody picks this up as a result of listening to it behind me. Let's just talk about this too. Got the new one from Ruins of Everast, the Thule Grimoires. So Exuvia absolutely floored me. I think my favorite Ruins of Everast will always be Foulest Seaman of the Sheltered Elite. And honestly, I felt like it was time. I was ready for Ruins of Everast to change it up fairly drastically. If you follow the discography of this band from beginning to now, he had a very dramatic shift when it came from Rain Upon the Impure to Foulest Seaman of the Sheltered Elite. And that was 3 albums ago. So now there's 3 albums, Foulest Seaman, Blood Vaults, and Exuvia, that are all just monster, colossal, amazing releases. But I felt like 3 albums worth of kind of the same sort of style was enough. And I felt like he was a creative enough artist to, find a new path somewhere, maybe incorporating a different kind of style. That being said, there is a prominent influence. I'm not sure if it's really intentional, but it's pretty unmistakable that there's some typo negative going on here. And I do love typo negative. I'm not, I think, as much of a fan as a lot of people are. And I wouldn't say it's a bad choice, but there are times when vocally on this album, which is otherwise absolutely stunning, flawless, goddamn amazing, where the vocals are kind of like, I don't know, a little quality control might have helped them out a little bit there, but that's just my take on it. The thing, I think the most dramatic takeaway from this new record is that the tones of the guitars and the drums, the vocals, the bass, everything is so monstrous and thunderous and just colossal sounding. I've never heard an album that just every sound on it is so big. It's just such an amazing use of the format of just audio music. Just there's such a what's the word? It's just such an intangible thing to imagine. Does that make any sense? Am I making sense? Am I losing my goddamn mind trying to make a YouTube video in the middle of the night? But yeah, it's an impressive release. Just a couple of moments where those Peter Steele type of kind of vocals are maybe questionable. So anyways, this was just another cheapo pickup. Zephyrus are a band I've always kind of meant to get around to checking out. They're from Greece, and this is a compilation. It's a full-length album called Entrance and Wandering on the 7 Zones. Very specific and vague all at the same time. Includes a demo or a 96 EP, A Caress of War and Wisdom. So this is called Everlasting Fire, and it's the reissue of both of those two. Came out on Floga a couple of years ago. And yeah, I've just kind of always meant to get around to checking out this full length. Found it cheap on Discogs and picked it up. And it's okay. I thought the idea of like a Greek version of early Dark Throne would be pretty fucking cool. And there's nothing wrong with it. It may just be also, I haven't really been in much of a mood for black metal that much lately. So yeah, it was just okay. You can hear that it's Greek. It definitely does, like, I do hear some of the more like grim monochromatic black metal kind of influences going on here. And it is very interesting to hear that kind of more Nordic style 90s black metal, but from a Greek perspective. I would like to hear something of that combination a little bit more fleshed out better. If there's a better example of something like that that you want to recommend to me, please let me know in the comments of something I should check out that's Greek, but dark throne-y, emperor-y, kind of early Nordic black metal kind of stuff. I'll check it out and let you know what I think. That was just alright. Let's get this out of the way. Found this on eBay and I was kind of surprised to find an original Road Racer press going for, I think it was like 15 bucks or so. And man, I've never been a big obituary fan. I've always had Cause of Death. I picked up Slowly We Rot a couple of years ago. And it's fine. They aren't a death metal band that make me fucking go, yeah, like a lot of my favorites do. So I picked up the End Complete. How bad could it be? Everybody loves Obituary, right? I think this is a pile of steaming garbage. I had no idea. Like, does everybody love this album? It sounds like fucking New York hardcore to me. This was a tough listen. I think I got about halfway through it and I am not feeling it. Yeah, let's not dwell on that one too much. I feel like I'm gonna have pitchforks at my door here any day soon, but yeah, dude, not feeling it. This was really satisfying. This is the new one from, how do we want to say this, guys? Dipigus. Very Dipigus release with their new one, Bushmeat, out on Memento Mori. I'll admit, I was just completely sucked in by the imagery, the name, the logo of this band. And once I saw Pete the Guttural Monk talking about this album, I bought it. Pete's a guy you can always rely on for a good recommendation. And yeah, this stuff is just nasty, disgusting, filthy. And they do a really good job of evoking, you know, it's always like, how do you portray with death metal such distinct and specific histories and stories and themes so well, and have people say, yep, that sounds exactly like cannibals in the bush chewing up white scientists and throwing their bodies in a river for gorillas to smack their bones against logs. That's exactly what this sounds like. And that's what I'm saying. It sounds like that, and it's fun. It also sounds a shit ton like Autopsy, a little bit of Cancer. It's nasty, gory, brutal, fun. Yeah, good shit. Just super fun death metal. If you're more of a black metal guy and you're kind of looking for some kind of entry point sort of death metal kind of record of all this new death metal madness going on, this is a great one. Super stoked to have that. Might even grab a copy of it on vinyl. Speaking of vinyl, got the new one in from Pan American Native Front. This is Little Turtles War. Been waiting for this one to show up sometime. Man, this rips. So he did a split with Efernoct on what is it, Go to War X last year. Everybody freaked out because it's good. Blue vinyl. I haven't spent a lot of time with this, but man, it is fun. Nice, nasty, First Nation black metal kind of stuff. I believe this sold out in about 15 minutes or something. So this was self-released. I wouldn't be surprised if Nuclear War Now is going to repress this, because Nuclear War Now is also repressing the debut, I believe, this year. So wouldn't be surprised if you're just patient, you're able to pick this up from Nuclear War Now soon. Don't quote me on that, but that's just what I'm thinking. Also, it would be cool of you to pick up a copy of the new Arcane Archivist, because I did an interview with Pan American Native Front in this copy. There are still copies available, and you're lucky because the first issue of this sold out in about an hour. And this is the first issue where I got to get a little picture of me featured in there. Look at that sexy guy. So, yeah, I wrote that. I am writing more stuff in the third issue. And so there's my interview with Pan American Native Front. Did a couple of reviews, did a long form review in this. Super cool to have the support of Arcane Archivist, letting me write whatever I want to write, interviewing whoever I want to interview, putting it on paper, and making people read it. There's nothing fucking cooler than that. Also, shirts just went up today. So, yeah, I'm so lucky and having a ton of fun being able to write again. It's been really fun to have creative thoughts about music but not have to sit in front of a camera and then edit a fucking video and then put a bunch of metadata and hashtags and links to YouTube stuff and respond to comments. I'm not complaining, but honestly, having I guess a less structured relationship with my musical thoughts, just send an email and it's in a magazine. That's all there is to it. And I love the support you guys are giving to Arcane Archivist. So, a couple more CDs. Finally picked up a copy of the new one from Death Trip. This is Demon Solar Totem. I feel like maybe a lot of people may have kind of stopped following this band because Aldrin from Dotheimsgard, who is one of my favorite vocalists, is no longer with Death Trip. Actually, he was replaced by Kvost, who replaced him in Dotheimsgard. How weird is that? I've always been a fan of Death Trip, really. But this is a turn in style for them, and I'm really liking it. It doesn't sound like the Death Trip that I already love. It sounds quite a bit, a lot, like a study on Norwegian black metal of the 90s. And I know a lot of people will say that about a lot of different stuff, but this is strikingly uncanny how similar it sounds to Transylvanian Hunger, Panzerfaust, Total Death, very early Emperor stuff, the Enslaved Split. It is awesome. It's weird to give an album such credit for sounding like a bunch of other good stuff, so that isn't, taking away from it whatsoever. But that's just what I've been getting from it, and that's why I've been enjoying it. I need to go back and listen to the former album from Death Trip and kind of reacquaint myself with that timeline of style and just kind of see where... You ever do that? You ever just like get the new album from a band, but it's been a long time since you listened to their earlier releases, and then like you go back and you listen to from beginning to there and just kind of reacquaint yourself with the timeline of the band? That's something I need to do. In fact, I'm wondering now if there may be more re-releases of this band's demos out. There was a really limited, like 3-inch CDR version of their demos that came out a couple of years ago. Their demos are really, really good. But this is also really, really fucking amazing. Profound Lore put it out. Get it for cheap. A couple of just mediocre whatevers. This is Harmony. They were they're from one of those countries. I'm gonna forget what it is. Are they Swedish? The reason so first of all, this is cheap. This is called Summoning the Past. It's a compilation of split material and demo stuff from these guys. Some of it was recorded in Unisound Studios, which, as you know, I'm trying to collect as much of that stuff as I can. It's just kind of chunky, fun, early death metal, 94, 95, around there. Kind of trying to be a little bit more weird, but I thought this would be a lot more interesting than it actually was. I listened to it about 2 or 3 times through, and it's fine. Nothing really to write home about. One of the reasons I was stoked to get it was because they did a split with Godforsaken, I believe, on Arctic Serenades, and I can't find a copy of that at all within my price range, if they're even selling it to the United States at this point. So those tracks are on that CD, and now I don't have to bother. This is a band I talked about in a video a couple of weeks ago, Theory and Practice. Did you guys check out Third Eye Function? That album fucking slays. So this is the follow-up to that, the Armageddon Theories. This is the third copy of this album I've bought. So this is another one of those albums that I hold up as an example of Peter Tatford kind of ruining bands. This is a great fucking band, and this had every fucking reason to sound fucking awesome. But it sounds like that digital fucking Abyss Studios sound that just makes me fucking fall asleep and get disinterested. But so I've bought and sold this 2 times, and since I did that last video about them, I was listening to this album again, and I was like, man, if I could find a copy of that for $5, I'll buy it. And so, yeah, it's staying here. I haven't put it in again yet to reacquaint myself yet, but it's super shreddy, insanely technical death metal. But it's got a lot of like classic metal influences to it. It's not super technical like proggy kind of stuff. It's not like Dream Theater or whatever. It's just very, very interesting stuff. I don't feel like there's any other band that sounds like Theory and Practice. I might even wind up getting the follow-up to this, Colonizing the Sun, which I've also gotten rid of once. Yeah, that's just what I do. I buy $5 copies of albums that I paid $10 for 20 years ago. A couple more vinyl and we're out of here. So, I don't know, I saw somebody posting about this album a couple of weeks ago, and I thought, man, it's been a long time since I listened to fucking Tankard. The Morning After used to be one of my favorite thrash albums. I had it on cassette, and actually, I don't know what happened to it. I might have sold it, got rid of it or something. With tapes, when I was a teenager, tapes would just get kicked under the seats and wind up in my trunk throughout the years, and eventually those tapes just kind of like get thrown away eventually. That's my relationship with cassettes. So I had never had a physical copy of this beyond a shitty tape that got kicked around my back seat in my cars. So I went to find a physical copy of it, and the best I could come up with was just the vinyl of The Morning After. This is an original copy from '86. And I paid $4 for this. I'm hoping maybe at some point I'll be able to find somebody selling just the jacket. But this vinyl is in really, really nice shape for being as old as it is. I don't remember when this came out. But man, so fucking fun. A lot of people had Creator and Destruction and Sodom as their entry points to thrash. This was a band and an album that I picked up very early on, and this to me sounds like that maniacal German sound that I love. Gotta love the old noise logo. There. Yeah, Morning After, Tankard, you all should know that. Absolutely perfect beard splitting thrash. So let's leave the classic for the end. Yesterday I was in my local record shop, and I just didn't want to walk out empty-handed, so I've always meant to pick up something from Vastum, never did. This is the more recent one, Patricidal Lust, on 20 bucks Spain. Apparently this is like a limited splatter, so I can get up on that kind of thing. It is actually a really cool black and silver kind of deal going on there. But man, I put this in, and I don't know if I've ever actually listened to Vastum, and I could not believe how much this sounds like Negro Chisel, only a lot more boring. And Negro Chisel are one of my favorite bands, but this is one of those instances again where I'm just thinking, I don't need to be putting this on when I could just be listening to Negro Chisel. I fucking love Negro Chisel. So by the way, I need to get that triple album they did. So, yeah, I don't know. What are you guys thinking? I know a lot of people were like pretty much raving about their last album, debut or something. It was like Red. Is this not as good as that one or something? I don't know. Just wasn't really feeling it, so I'm not gonna dog on it too much. Oh! Just tore the sleeve on that tanker. Need to fix that. Shouldn't have it in a paper sleeve anyways. Also just picked up a vinyl copy of one of my favorite albums, Dance for December Souls. Peaceville reissuing the classics. Yeah. So if I talked you into picking up a copy of this yet, if you aren't already familiar, dude, this album, absolutely phenomenal. I also need to put this in a sleeve as well. What did you say about this? I've reviewed this extensively in my Doomtober series last year, but I just absolutely adore this record. It's perfect in every way. The song Without God. There's a special place in my heart. There's a special place in my heart for songs that almost unpoetically and very explicitly call out God in a putting a fucking fist in the face of God in just very plain terms. It was the song Dear God by XTC that made me fall absolutely head over heels for that band, and to this day, that's one of my all-time favorite songs. XTC are one of my all-time favorite bands for that song entirely. And so I was really feeling this album when I first put it on, but when it came to Without God, that just got me right in that spot where you got me by the fucking balls. If you can write a song so beautiful and majestic and just portraying so vividly what occupies my personality almost entirely. One more release and we'll get out of here. So I raved about this in a couple of videos. I even did a review of this in here. By the way, we fucking interviewed Phones of the Carrion. Are you fucking serious? So, my review of this album right here, Aspadelus, Stygian Dreams. I missed out on an LP copy of this last year and it just killed me. So I bought this on Bandcamp and CD and now on LP. This is such a gorgeous pressing from Terror from Hell Records. So this came out in 2019 and I kind of missed out on it back when it originally came out. Oh my god. So talk about Catatonia's Dance of December Souls. That album has influenced this band a lot, and I feel like this is just the most utter tribute to that record there could possibly be. But also it does incorporate a lot of Greek black metal sound in its riffing styles. This is so good. The album is just utterly flawless. It's honestly an album that I have a hard time dissecting in a way that you do when you're as much of a music nerd as I am. It just defies all backwards engineering. Are there any bands or albums like that for you which like you just cannot possibly bear to unincorporate something so that you can understand it more? I have a tendency to do that with everything I listen to, but this is so just intricately composed, written, performed, and recorded that there is just no piecing it apart for any reason. It's just so impressively written and just, God, it's just so fucking good. I'll show you black vinyl, show you the vinyl. Not much to look at, but yeah. I imported this from Italy. Wound up costing me about $45 after shipping, and it took about 3 weeks to get to me. I'm about that all day. So yeah, if you haven't already, if you haven't gotten sick of me telling you to check out Aspadelus, Stygian Dreams, this is your last chance. If you sit on this album, you're fucking up big time. So that's it for this collection update. I hope this isn't the last collection update here in this Chamber of Doom. But check out all this stuff. We'll see you next time.